Yes, we are, Chair Smith. Thank you.
Thank you for assisting Commissioner Carey. So officially, good evening, commissioners, and welcome to our January 14th, 2021 Human Relations Commission meeting. It's our first meeting of the new year. So welcome, everyone. Just as a reminder, this meeting is being held virtually, so the live streaming is available. I will do the call to order. Well, done that, and the roll call will be taking place. So, Commissioner Kai Ajay.
Present.
Commissioner Karan Konam.
Present.
Commissioner Gary McGinnis.
Present.
Commissioner Nisha Carey.
Commissioner Carey is present.
Okay. Looks like she's muted.
She's present by phone.
Okay. Commissioner Tony Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Kenny Carr.
Present. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Can you help me with your first name, please?
Yeah, it's Nibandini.
Nibandini. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Smith is present. Before we move on the agenda, let's officially welcome Nibandini and allow her to introduce herself to the commission. And we will go around virtually and introduce ourselves to her. So we will start with you, Commissioner Nibandini.
Yeah, this is Nibandini Kenikar. I'm from India. Since 15 years, I'm in United States. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to work with you, all of you. And it's a great opportunity for me to serve the community back and trying to learn new things from all of you. I don't know what else to talk. So you just ask me the questions, I can introduce myself more.
Okay. So thank you. My name is Rhonda Smith, and I've been in the community for a while now. My passion is removing injustice and ensuring that there's equality for all. I am serving as the chair of the commission. So welcome. I will pass it along to Commissioner Ajay.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Kai Ajayi. I'm a longtime resident of Bloomington, a relatively recent appointee to this board, and just looking forward to working with you and the others on this board to make Bloomington a more welcoming and compassionate place for all to live.
Commissioner McGinnis.
My name is Gary McGinnis, and I'm lived in the community about 20 years. And I retired from Illinois State University, and I've been in education for the last 35, 40 years.
Commissioner Konam.
Hi, I'm Kiranmai Konam, and I've been in Bloomington since 1998. And this is my second term on this commission, and I enjoy working and helping out in the community. Welcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones.
Hello, my name is Tony Jones. I'm a long-time resident of Bloomington, been visiting for 35 years now. And I'm a mission retread. I was originally appointed to the commission in 2001 and served until 2015, I believe. And then I came back 2017. So this is my second cycle. That's why I call myself a retread. And just a little bit about myself so far as interests or hobbies, one of the things I do is I'm a music DJ. And before the pandemic, I had been doing a lot of Indian parties, Bollywood parties. So I'm very eager to learn more about Indian music in that regard. So I might pick your brain.
Commissioner Carey, she's on the phone, so I'm unsure if we will be able to hear her. Ms. Richards?
Commissioner Carey is present, but I don't believe that she has unmuted yet, but it still shows that she's still in attendance to the meeting.
Are you able to communicate with her?
At this time, I am not. She had an assistant that was helping her. Commissioner Carey is a representative of the disabled community and one of our commissioners that is sight impaired. And so I've been working with her assistant to make sure that she could attend and participate in this meeting. Does not seem as though she is unmuted at this time, and I am unable to communicate with her while the meeting is going on.
Okay, if that changes, please let us know.
Absolutely. And then in the future, just to let the commission know, we will be working on some different options for Commissioner Carey to participate fully in the meeting. We thought that today's accommodations would be the best route, but we see that it has not allowed, I don't believe that her assistant was able to unmute. So we will be working on that. And I will also make sure that I communicate with her via phone after tonight's meeting and also provide her with anything that she needs clarification on.
Okay, thank you. We're hoping that we can certainly provide her with accommodations that are seamless for her to connect to these meetings moving forward. So thank you. We will move forward to public comment. Did anyone join virtually? Do you know, Ms. Richards, if anyone registered to participate?
We have no registrants for public comment.
Okay, thank you. Let's move forward to the approval of the minutes from our last meeting. They were sent out to us. They will be from the December 9th meeting. So did everyone have the appropriate amount of time to read them, review them? If there are no suggested updates,
Having read and reviewed the minutes, I move that they be adopted as presented.
thank you, Commissioner Jai, for the motion to approve the minutes as presented. Is there a commissioner willing?
I second approval.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. The motion has been properly presented and second to approve the December 9th meetings as presented. Is there any discussion? If not, I will call for the question. Okay. Commissioner Konam?
Approved.
Commissioner McGinnis?
Approved.
Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Commissioner Ajay?
Aye.
Commissioner Kennikar?
Approve.
And Commissioner Carey, I'm going to assume still is unable to communicate. Commissioner
That is correct.
Smith approves the minutes. Okay. I do want to pause to gather thoughts on Commissioner Carey. Is she able to hear us and she's just not able to respond?
Yes, Commissioner Carey is able to hear the entire meeting.
Okay. Okay, we will move on to item 4 on our agenda. Item 4A, which we've already done. I got a jump start on that. Item 4B, accessibility issues in the city of Bloomington. Discussion with Konam Calhoun. So he is not on virtually. Did he connect with you, Ms. Richards?
Is that
Mr. Calhoun is actually on the call and present. He's
Hello.
up.
Mr. Calhoun?
I'm trying to do, I got some IT issues right now, so excuse me just 1 second here. I'm trying to bounce off another computer. And then just moments before our meeting, my boiler just exploded.
Oh my.
So no need to worry. We got this.
Keep it calm and move on.
Here we go. I'm gonna get out of this one. I've got another one. I'm gonna move to a different location here. You guys have me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, we're good. Okay. Well, you gotta love technology or hate it.
It's wonderful when it's working right.
All right. Ms. Richards, do we need to do any introductions or anything like that?
We have pivoted to you. You can introduce yourself and move on with the topic, Mr. Calhoun.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Konam Calhoun. I'm a disability rights advocate for Life Center for Independent Living here in Bloomington Normal. We serve 4 counties, Livingston, Ford, McLean, and DeWitt counties. I handle either the systems advocacy or individual advocacy in those 4 counties, also national advocacy as well too. A little bit, just a backdrop on Life Center for Independent Living. It's consumer choice and consumer driven. We're a non-traditional social agency. It's driven by the actual person that wants to receive the services. And we handle an array of things. I couldn't even begin to even start with the multitude of things that we do with our agency and the capacity that that we handle here. We do have a constant contact with our 4 counties. There's 22 CILs in the state of Illinois. There's 564 of us across the country. We spawned out of ADA and Centers for Independent Living. One of our main focuses is advocacy, and working on one of the major things is removing the physical barriers that's in our communities prior to the 1990 signing of the ADA. And then moving forward with the 2010 standards and getting rid of the architectural barriers that are in our way is just one of the many things that I do. So I have been working with the city of Bloomington and the town of Normal for quite many years, and there's quite a rich history with the Center for Independent Living, working with the city of Bloomington with their ADA transition plan from 1993. We're working on getting a newer one after the 2010 standards. But I'll bring for you today is we've had a lot of concerns with physical accessibility in downtown Bloomington. We understand that it's an historic area, but that does not relieve the fiduciary responsibility of the city of Bloomington to start getting rid of some of these physical barriers, and we can start tying into those here later in the conversation. But it really is a challenging area to navigate in downtown Bloomington because of the physical features and the landscape that's down there. So it's more of a macro problem. We've done our individual advocacy from door to door to businesses, thinking outside the box and trying to get into some of these establishments. But it's been 30 years since ADA has been signed, and I would like to move forward and be able to, one, working with the departments, the public works and community development with the city of Bloomington is that what I have noticed when I went through codes is that there's really no actionable codes to really help enforce the movement to get physical accessibility. Just the entrance of the actual business is the thing that we're really considering right now. And then moving around, being able to get inside the building is another animal and beast itself. So it has been a long time coming. The disability community talks just like most of us do. If you like good food, you'll tell somebody about a good restaurant and they'll go visit it. Disability community will talk about a community that's not accessible and then they won't visit it because it's physically not accessible. And would really like to start a conversation and moving into our to the committee that I'm speaking to on behalf tonight. I really appreciate you guys having me here and see if we can start moving in the direction to start getting some physical access. And I'm here to also help with any of the technical questions into Illinois accessibility guidelines and stuff like that as well too at the federal and state and local levels as well. So yeah, that's one little piece of the big puzzle of access for persons with disability in the United States and then the state of Illinois as well. Trying to think here. So most of our businesses in downtown Bloomington, and then there are some businesses that spread out. So I don't want to just centralize just in downtown Bloomington because it's an historic and it doesn't relieve the idea of creating physical access because it's on a historic preservation. It should be considered all options to get individuals with disabilities into those actual buildings. And so there's going to be a pretty good sized process to getting this established. And then there are some other things that have popped up with all of my conversations that I've had with a lot of business owners or building owners is that there's a common term or terminology being thrown around as a grandfather clause that they've been grandfathered in and that access doesn't have to be created. And there's no grandfather clause in the ADA that's actually signed. Inclusion starts with actual knocking down those physical features. And then if it doesn't take away the character of the actual building. So, and then you move into other businesses and other establishments throughout the city of Bloomington too. So just really kind of want to start wrapping our heads around the bigger picture here.
Chairwoman Smith, are we able to ask questions at this time?
I was trying to see, I didn't know if Mr. Calhoun was pausing.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, ma'am. It's kind of going back and forth here. I'm trying to slow it down a little bit. I will definitely take some questions. I'm looking at my connection and it just keeps going back and forth. So I'm just trying to make sure that I have connection and continue to have connection with you. Yes, I am definitely open for the questions and moving forward. And then we can get in depth if you'd like as well too.
Point of order, Madam Chair. Ms. Richards, could you clarify? My understanding during public comment was that we were to receive information and this was not a forum for back and forth.
So to my knowledge, what was handed off to me was that Mr. Calhoun was actually a presenter during the meeting and it wasn't necessarily public comment.
However, we are in the public comment. No, we're not. Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome, Commissioner Ajay.
So, Mr. Calhoun, were you pausing before you shared additional information, or were you pausing to see if anyone,
See if there's any questions right now.
Okay. Commissioner Jones, were you going to put a question on the table?
Yes. The question that I have is, based upon your insight, what are the barriers so far as business owners not proceeding with making accommodation? Do you think it's financial, just from your perspective and your insights?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Sometimes it can be a financial barrier from that business. Other times it can be they just don't know. So a lot of education will come in there. There are opportunities to create the access with getting actual tax credits, establishing and furthering physical access into your building at the federal level to be able to create that. And then there's just other opportunities where some businesses are just really, really rigid and really just don't see the value in creating physical access in their business establishment. We'll name any businesses, but that is another conversation that I've had multiple times as well too. So it could be financial, it could be just the philosophy, the ideas of what that individual feels that physical access means to them and maybe not to others.
Thank you.
Is there another commissioner who wants to ask a question? Okay.
I think it would be useful, Mr. Calhoun, if you could enumerate for us what the top 10 obstacles you've come across in the city of Bloomington, whether it be downtown or elsewhere, what those top 10 obstacles are, so that we can be aware and start thinking about how we could potentially address those. That would be very helpful.
Okay. So one of the biggest things is the actual front door of a business establishment. Is you're looking at the actual threshold and being able to get into the actual establishment. There may be a step in the way. There may be a threshold that's greater than 3/4 inch or a 1/2 inch. By Illinois Accessibility Code, it needs to be created under a 1/2 inch. And then door width and hardware to be able to actually manipulate the door to get into the establishment. So the actual, the door, just that door is very limiting in itself. And then then the other features would be walkability. Downtown Bloomington with road crossing and being able to have audible traffic signals to indicate when I can cross and when I cannot cross is something that is very, very hard to navigate in downtown Bloomington. And the amount of time, there are some traffic signals down there that I'm not even sure how they even know that you're even there for that light to be able to turn, so you can walk across. And then the actual timing of it to cross a road is very limited. A person who may be blind or who has low vision would not be able to cross that road because there isn't any audible traffic signal. You don't know when the light is red, when it is green, and the sheer amount of time. So when a person who is blind, if they had an audible traffic signal, you don't initially start to walk across the road and into a car. Is that you're listening to your surroundings, you're smelling things, you're picking up on what's around you, and you're assessing that situation. So you're eating up a good amount of time, anywhere between 15 to 20 seconds, just to do that before you start to cross a road. A lot of times what I've noticed is that if there is a traffic signal on a countdown, it's less than 20 seconds to be able to get across the road. So that in itself is very hard to navigate, and that would steer me away from that. There are, in the city of Bloomington right now, the Public Works Department has probably got one of the best sidewalk master plans, but they are inundated. They were very far behind on building up their sidewalk inventory and getting curb cuts. So they got a long ways to go, but they're doing a fabulous job. The Public Works is, and then they have considerations in there for persons with disabilities. That if it's a known user with a person with a disability, that sidewalk or that curb cut could be put on a much higher tier, be able to get fixed. But even that list has grown exponentially as well too.
If we could get a listing of that, then we could have staff do some research, and we could start looking into costs and start to prioritize things. And we could also put pressure, just like we have this information you provided about the sidewalks, and if we know that there's somebody with a known disability on that route, we can start to apply pressure and give information to the various departments so that they can prioritize these amenities. So if you could write those down for us and shoot us an email, send it to Ms. Richards, we'd be happy to take a look at it and start doing some cost analysis and to see what we can do to move this forward.
Right. And so ultimately, with the downtown Bloomington area, just because it's historic and it's a macro problem, and the sheer amount of time that an individual has done with advocacy, an individual either talking to a business, trying to get into the establishment, there has been a lot of communication that's happened with our consumers. Usually, when I'm involved in the conversation, it's usually that the consumer has either is frustrated or has exhausted their time with that individual or that entity owner. So like the downtown Bloomington, though, is something that I would like to be able to see with the historic preservation and with the HRC and then other departments, is seeing how we can start getting these businesses, because there have been a lot of businesses that have been inaccessible, and then that business has gone out of business, and somebody else has bought that business building and then built their business inside of it, and it's still inaccessible. And it's very cyclical. It continues to keep going. And then when you hear things like, we've been told that we've been grandfathered in, that conversation is coming from somewhere. And so if that conversation is coming from individuals that are making decisions, we really need to think about how that's perpetuating inaccessible businesses. And that is something that I would like to really, because I have spent a lot of time in downtown Bloomington. I worked with the McLean County Museum, and we've done some other things to change up some of the features to make them accessible under the guidelines of ADA. And the McLean County Museum has made some adjustments and some other things as well there too. So, and just really thinking about inclusion and how welcoming that can be. And there are individuals that I have spoken to and that have always wanted to eat at certain establishments because they're the brick and mortar that have been here a really, really long time, and they're physically not accessible. And one day they would like to step foot into one of these establishments to be able to enjoy some of these eateries that we have. And so there are businesses that have thought outside the box, who have put in portable ramps, which is good. I think that's a great start. But overall, the encompassing downtown is very, very challenging in itself. And then I think I did mention that earlier, is that I've had some of the which department, I've got my notes here in front of me, is adopting some codes within the city to strengthen it, so that way the city can be able to move forward with some of these businesses, or maybe make it a co-op to where the establishments, leading from the public rights of way, which is called ProWag, moving from the actual sidewalk, and then that little barrier that's right from the sidewalk that moves right into the actual building that abuts to the building, is something that I think that would probably help speed up this process a little bit more. Again, codes that at this point in time do not allow that conversation to really happen.
Thank you, Mr. Calhoun, for sharing the information that you presented tonight. I just have a couple quick questions, and then I will just go back to asking you to share your top priorities with us via sending it to Ms. Richards, and then we will take action to discuss it and see how we can move the needle on that. Does that sound good with you?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm actually moving because my daughters are getting ready to come in this house, and it's a train wreck.
Okay, so somewhere I read that there were like 423 miles of sidewalk within Bloomington. Is that 423 miles that are not currently accessible?
Well, there are, I don't think that's an accurate one where you're saying that's 423 miles of not being accessible. There are a lot of edges of the community that do not have sidewalks, and that we have allowed expansion of our community to have some subdivisions being built with some of the builders, and there's no sidewalk there. For instance, here's a really good one. Then this actually working. I've been many years working with trying to. So we got public transit. You know, we can have bus stops, but if we don't have sidewalks to be able to navigate that infrastructure, so like Alexander Road and 6 Point Road, those two roads right there have a bus route on it. It's a silver route. It's pretty good high ridership down there. There's absolutely no sidewalks in that area. And the bus stops at this point in time do not exist. They actually are in culverts. They are, when it rains, they develop ponds.
Okay.
So there are a lot of areas that just don't have walkability connectivity in general. So I would think that some of that mileage has probably shrunken due to the public being able to create access.
So thank you for responding to that. I will follow it up with another reminder to send the top list of what you consider to be priorities to Ms. Richardson. She will make it available to us.
Okay.
Thank you for attending tonight and for further enlightening us on the issues with accessibility, the accessibility issues within Bloomington, McLean County. Thank
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm sorry for being a little bit of razzle dazzle here. I've got about a bunch of things that just smacked me right in the face right before this meeting started. So I'll try to be a little bit. So I apologize.
Okay. And after we review your top priorities list, if we need to reach back out to you, we will certainly do that. So again, thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, we will move forward on the agenda to 4C, discussion and approval of Juneteenth document of understanding that was made available to us prior to the meeting. Discussion.
I'd kind of like to level set so far as just to kind of provide a little more insight on the purpose or the objective of that particular document. At the last meeting, those present, we received additional insights towards the goal and the vision of the Juneteenth celebration. And afterwards, as an action item, Commissioner Kai and I, we collaborated on developing or documenting the high-level objectives of what a Juneteenth event, what is the purpose of it, what are the elements of it. So what we develop is what's called a document of understanding, which includes a vision statement, a mission statement, and it has a couple of purposes. One, for us as a commission to have a general understanding of what is the purpose of the Juneteenth event, what are the things that should be accomplished with it. The way the event is going to be structured is that the Bloomington Normal Black History Project will be executing much of the activity. So one of the things that we want to be clearly communicated to them is the expectations of the components of the Juneteenth celebration, the must-have so far. So it's not really something to get down into the roots of the situation, but basically provide them guidance and understanding of the purpose of the event and what we want to accomplish. And as I indicated, we collaborated, so I want to pass on to Kai if he has some additional comments to offer.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd got as far down the road as determining or outlining who was going to do what. My interpretation of this document is a listing of our perspective based on our conversation with Councilmember Mboka, what his vision was, what our perspective of the Juneteenth meaning was, and then for us to come to some common understanding on what that programming would look like. Yes, more than likely, much of the programming would be put on by the Black History Project. But I thought I look at this more as a meeting of the minds on the philosophy behind the event.
Yeah, I agree totally with that. And if I misspoke earlier, it's something to be provided to the Black History Project so they have that common understanding also.
Understood. Thank you. So I don't know if others have had a chance to read the document, if they have any comments, thoughts, concerns.
So the document was drafted in partnership between Commissioner Kai Ajay and Commissioner Tony Jones.
Correct.
Okay. So the Black History Project has no awareness of this DOU at this point in time.
That is correct.
Okay. So we're just seeking to see if the HRC is in sync on what is on this document before we move forward with sharing it with them.
Correct.
Okay. So I see that there are 3 specific goals that Juneteenth is seeking to achieve: to educate, motivate, and celebrate.
Correct.
And to elaborate on that, we picked those 3 because typically celebration is the primary focus. And while Juneteenth is an event to be celebrated, it's celebrated almost because of the pain and suffering that it is a marker of. And we're hopeful that such painful events, 2 years of being free and not even knowing about it, when you find out about it, of course you celebrate, but you educate people on justice delayed, and then you motivate them to avoid the recurrence of such activities. And then we celebrate the fact that that was one more thing that we overcame, and we can do it again.
I'm trying to, I think we landed on, and I think Councilman Mboka did say that it is officially known as Juneteenth holiday within the Bloomington Normal community, right? That was voted on, but not a paid holiday.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay. Other commissioners in the meeting, do you have thoughts, questions on the DOU?
I have reviewed the document and I felt the document was well laid out and I have no additional questions.
Commissioner McGinnis, any thoughts from you?
No, I thought it was a good document and no problems with it.
Thank you. Commissioner Kenny-Carr?
No, ma'am, I'm just trying to understand what exactly is going on. This is my first meeting, so.
Okay, so I'm not sure. Ms. Richards, were these documents sent to her? I didn't want to leave you out of the discussion if you wanted to participate. I know this is your first meeting, but I wanted to open it up to you if you received these documents and you wanted to participate in the discussion of the document.
Yes, Commissioner Kenny-Carr was provided the documents.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
However, it may be beneficial for someone to expound on a little bit further about the celebration or the importance and significance of Juneteenth in the case that that information is needed. I know Commissioner Kai Ajayi did mention a bit of the history behind it, but maybe if Commissioner Kennecar had questions about the holiday, the celebration, the purpose, and this document moving forward and how the commission is is playing a part in that, that may be helpful. I'm not sure, Chair Smith, how we want to proceed with that, but perhaps that may be helpful.
Commissioner Kenny-Carr, do you have any questions on this topic?
Right now, I don't have any questions, ma'am, but I'll go through all the documents once again in detail. And I guess I'll talk to you or email you, or in next meeting, I might ask the questions and have the queries as well.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Richard, for presenting that suggestion. I think this DOU, while it's not in detail, it does provide some education around Juneteenth, and that I really appreciate. I think I believe I called out how delayed, I want to get the phrase right. Justice delayed was emphasized. So again, while the document doesn't really provide a lot of insight around Juneteenth, it does pull the lens back a little. And so that I do appreciate. So I think it's a...
Yeah, just something I wanted to point out. Also on the DOU document, at the very bottom, there's a link to the official Juneteenth website. So that also has some additional explanation so far as the history of Juneteenth, the purpose of it, just more opportunity to get more information about Juneteenth itself.
Okay.
And Chair Smith, to address your concern, this document is preaching to the choir in a sense. This is going to the Black History Project that has been doing this for a long time. So we didn't feel it was necessary in this document to elaborate in too much detail the history and the purpose of
Well, I agree. I totally agree.
Okay.
I'm only expounding on, I think what has been documented on the DOU is a great way to kind of pique the interest of those who are not aware or have no awareness of it, and prompt them to go and look up the real history background on it.
Thank you.
And not just about, hey, it's a day to celebrate. So that's why I called out the delayed justice. Okay. If there are no additional questions or conversation around the DOU, I'm going to seek approval of the document of understanding, the Juneteenth document of understanding. I want to first say good job to Commissioners Jones and Ajayi for getting this document put together and bringing it back in a timely manner. Thank you. Is there a motion? Is there a commissioner available to put a motion forward?
Sure.
I'm not compelling anyone to.
I move that the Juneteenth document of understanding is approved as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Konam, for the motion on the Juneteenth document of understanding. Is there a second?
I will second it.
Thank you, Commissioner McGinnis, for seconding the motion. So the motion to approve the Juneteenth document of understanding as presented has been properly approved and seconded. Is there any additional conversation? If not, I'm going to call for the vote. Commissioner Konam.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner McGinnis.
Aye.
Commissioner Ajayi.
Aye.
Commissioner Kenny-Carr.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith. Aye. I'm going to call Commissioner Carey. Okay. All right. So, Ms. Richards, The motion passes. We will go to 4E, consideration for routine meeting between Deputy City Manager, Mr. Tyus, and the HRC. So Commissioner Ajayi and myself were in a meeting to discuss another topic, and this was presented as an opportunity for the Deputy City Manager to establish some sort of cadence to come before the HRC, and we are presenting it to see if there's interest to invite the Deputy City Manager to visit with the HRC. I'm opening this up for discussion and consideration.
This is Commissioner Jones. I think that would be beneficial so far as, and what I would just throw out there is perhaps once a quarter. But that's just not really based on any logic. It's just basically just trying to pace it at a reasonable rate.
Thanks for your suggestion on that, Commissioner Jones. Anyone else?
I would,
Go ahead, Gary.
okay, I would go ahead and agree that we should do it quarterly, but I would like also the opportunity, if we have a particular area that he could be helpful, that we would call him and he could join us for one meeting.
That's in addition to the cadence that we seek to establish, the quarterly. If there's something that comes up in between, is that what you're adding?
That's correct, yes.
Anyone else?
As part of the, I agree with the quarterly sync up. It will also be beneficial if there will be any agenda items that can be added when we are meeting with him so that we are more focused. Either from his interest or from our side.
So for clarity, Commissioner Konam, are you saying to ensure that he addresses the things that we are seeking input on, that we send that ahead of the meeting so that he knows what we want to discuss or want to hear from him on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Similarly, if he is needing some inputs from our end, those also can be accommodated.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Konam.
Thanks.
Any other thoughts, suggestions, feedback on this consideration? Okay. So I've heard several yes, open to inviting Deputy City Manager to the meetings, and I've heard yes, 3 yeses on establishing a quarterly cadence with him. And it was also shared to have the opportunity to send specific agenda items to him prior to the meeting so that he can be intentional about addressing those items. Mr. Gary, did I include, Commissioner Gary, did I include what you presented in that summary?
Yes, but I would like the opportunity, if we have a particular item that we could get more information from him, that we would have the right to call him not only quarterly, but at a particular meeting, instead of waiting 3 months to get an answer to a particular question or problem.
Ms. Richards, I'm going to reach out to you.
So,
Do we not have those options or opportunities now?
Absolutely, you do. In fact, that privilege or that opportunity was taken recently when Commissioner Kai Ajayi reached out to Deputy City Manager and with follow-up in regards to contract compliance. So any of the commissioners do have that authority and ability to keep that open line of communication and follow up with the Deputy City Manager at any time. And if you need assistance with that, or if you need contact information, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll get that to you.
Thank you. Okay, does that help with the ask that you have, Commissioner McGinnis?
Yes.
Thank
Just
you.
to be clear, my contact with the deputy city manager, I didn't go rogue to do it. I raised the issue in this meeting, and it was recommended by staff that we reach out directly to the city manager to follow up on a particular issue. So with the consent of the committee, I reached out to the city manager.
So when I asked, do we not have that ability or opportunity to do that, my ask was specifically out of a discussion within the HRC, and it is agreed upon. We work through Ms. Richards to have that put into place if we need someone from the administration to come forth and share something with us. So I wasn't asking, can we each just randomly ask questions on behalf of the HRC? Yes, as a citizen, we can reach out to them. So just adding some clarity there. Okay. Can we get, is there anyone wanting to put forth a motion on this to establish a cadence around inviting the deputy city manager with sending forth agenda items when we have them?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you for presenting the motion, Commissioner Ajayi, and seconding it, Commissioner Jones. Very much appreciate that. Is there any additional discussion? If not, I'm going to call for the vote. Pausing to see if there's conversation. So doesn't seem like there is. Commissioner Kenny-Carr.
Yes.
Commissioner McGinnis.
Aye.
Commissioner Konam.
Aye.
Commissioner Ajayi.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
And Commissioner Smith. Aye. Commissioner Carey. Okay. The motion carries to invite Deputy City Manager Tyus to the HRC, establishing a quarterly cadence and sending agenda items prior to the quarterly meeting. Thank you, commissioners. Let's move forward to agenda item 5 to cover old business. Discuss potential for a virtual version of the training session for commissioners to replace the training that was scheduled prior to the pandemic. So I'm going to need a refresher on to replace the training that was scheduled. What was that training? I could have looked back through the minutes. Does the commissioner recall that? If so, please help me out.
Chair Smith, I believe this is referring to training specific to commissioners of the HRC that Mr. Hurt had developed and at the request of the commission, so that the commission could be more aware of their responsibilities, but also the opportunities to create programming or to carry out their work. Also information as it relates to certain statutes and certain ordinances that they were to abide by and things of that nature. So I'm not sure if any of the commissioners have that previous example and they wanted to expound on that now.
I do have call now.
Okay.
I know that we expressed making that training available online, but as on demand, so that it's not a requirement that everybody log on at the same time and have that training presented. So do we know if that training was created that way?
I believe the training is in a digital form so that commissioners could take the training at their leisure instead of logging on at the same time. And I can
Okay.
follow up with Mr. Hurt just to confirm that.
Yes, Ms. Richards, can you follow up with him and share back with us what he says on that?
Absolutely. I'll get back to the commissioners separately by tomorrow.
Oh, thank you so much for the reply. Before I move on, do the commissioners have anything to say on that topic?
Yeah, the only thing I had was just kind of a suggestion. If the training is not designed that way, perhaps an option would be that those that are available could take it via Zoom. It's recorded, and then other commissioners could see that recording on demand.
That's an option. So we'll wait for the outcome of the conversation that Ms. Richards has. Hopefully, it was created for an on-demand type of training. Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Moving on to agenda item 5B, update on follow-up with the Deputy City Manager Tyus. And this is regarding the contract compliance, language, and diversity initiatives. And this was a meeting that myself and Commissioner Jai met with City Manager, Deputy City Manager Tyus, Ms. Richards, and Mr. Hurt. And that's how the routine meeting conversation came up. So I am going to yield the floor to Commissioner Ajayi to discuss this topic.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We met with the Deputy City Manager to get an update on where the ordinance language regarding minority, disabled, or disadvantaged and women business entities getting a requirement that these entities have a portion of city contracts. We had submitted this language back in July, and we've not heard anything back from the city. Mr. Tyus was very gracious and noted that such an initiative was part of a greater effort by the city to be more inclusive in the business that they conduct generally. And specifically regarding this ordinance, both the Deputy City Manager and Mr. Hurt have extensive experience in other Midwestern cities passing exactly these sort of ordinances. Given that they have both been through the process and having recognized some of the hurdles that they had to overcome in getting those ordinances passed, they have asked for some time to enumerate those hurdles, identify them, and develop strategies by which to overcome them before moving forward with presenting any language to the City Council. It is the timeline that we were given was that the language should be in front of the City Council by late spring, and that in short order, those hurdles would be identified and strategies put in place to try to overcome them. They did have an ask of members of this commission that if we know or can think of partners in the community that can assist us in thinking about what should be included in an ordinance looking to have minority businesses included in city contracts, that we please forward that information through Ms. Richards to the city so they can reach out. Examples that were given in other cases include the NAACP, and I forget others. I know NAACP was one of them, but other community organizations that might be able to give input into how such an ordinance might be implemented. labor unions, for example, or another business sector that could be reached out to. So if we know anybody in the community that we think the city should reach out to in developing this language, the city is calling for that those recommendations. Otherwise, the city is firmly in line to develop this language and to have something before the city council by late spring. Chair Smith, I don't know if I forgot anything there. Still on mute.
Okay, sorry about that. Yes, that was a great report out on that meeting. I was just looking at my notes, Commissioner Jai. You covered pretty much all that I have. I know Deputy City Manager Tyus, as they were talking about sources that can feed into ensuring that we have people available to work within those contracts. He indicated that they're working with Heartland to help support training of people. So I thought that was good that they're already doing that. And Ms. Richards, you suggested or brought forth, was it women? Commissioner Jai, you were familiar with it. What was it?
Dreams are possible.
Yeah, that. So I know Ms. Richards sent out an email that had a link that enabled us to put our, if we had suggestions, we could put those organizations' names in there. Hopefully, commissioners have had an opportunity to do so. I was not able to access the link from within State Farm firewall, so I sent my suggestions to Ms. Richards, and she was gracious enough to add them to the list if they weren't already there. So I would encourage commissioners to think of organizations to add to the list to help us move this effort forward and to ensure that it is a successful.
Chair Smith, if you would like me to, I could also read off the names of the organizations that were submitted, if you would like.
I'm sure you can do that.
So far, we have 3 commissioners who submitted input, and the names of the organizations so far that are listed are the Illinois Human Rights Commission, Life Sales Center for Independent Living, Youth Build, the Bloomington Area Career Center. Let's see here. We also have the ACLU of Illinois, Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce, Mid-Central Community Action, Western Avenue, Midwest Food Bank, and Red Cross. I did want to elaborate on one of the suggestions that were submitted, and that was BACC, which is the Bloomington Area Career Center. This organization was submitted for the purpose of them having several work sites and also working to recruit resources for training, allowing members or participants entry into the workforce through contracted work. So that's why that organization was submitted. And so the Google Sheet form has been closed because the deadline to submit your information or your suggestions was on the 13th. In time for this meeting so that you could elaborate and discuss this. But I will open up that Google Sheet for commissioners to continue to add to this form.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Richards, for sharing that information. Again, we want to, Commissioner Jai led this initiative effort to get this ordinance going. And as a commission, everyone needs to do their part to help ensure that this is successful. So let's all join in and ensure we do our part. We say as commissioners, we want to help make this community a better place, then we have to take action to do that. Thinking of organizations to add to the list doesn't require any muscle. You don't have to leave home to do so. So that's encouragement. Thank you. Anything else before we move on this, Commissioner Ajay?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. We're going to agenda item number 6, new business, welcoming city, discussion of HRC support for this effort. Hopefully, all the commissioners are aware of the welcoming city ordinance and everything that has taken place thus far. On this, you should be aware that the city council voted to pass the Welcoming America initiative or program, but did not or has not supported Welcoming City. So I'm not sure who placed this on the agenda, whichever commissioner did. I will yield the floor to you.
Is that me? Did I do that?
I believe it was you, Commissioner Kai, but I believe it was from probably December, so it's been a while.
It was last year. It's been a
Yes, last year.
Yeah. So there was some discussion at the commission level, or sorry, the Bloomington City Council level about welcoming America versus welcoming city. And I know that the version that was voted on by the city council was not the version that would require police to not cooperate with federal law enforcement when it came to matters of undocumented folks. And I think that this issue has been of great concern to our Latin American and Hispanic communities. And I just wanted to see whether the HRC was willing to put its support behind a welcoming city ordinance and show our support for our immigrant community.
Yeah, when I saw that on the agenda prior to the meeting, I was trying to locate some type of write-up in regards to the welcoming city proposal. Are you aware of where I could locate that?
Yes, Commissioner Jones, I'll send you that information.
Do any of the other commissioners, would you like some insight on the welcoming city ordinance, or are you solid on the ordinance that has been brought before the city council and was not voted on positively?
I'll take it then that everyone is well informed on the issue.
Silence is a consent.
Right.
Correct, commissioners? So I do.
I would like to have the writer, please.
I will share it with Ms. Richards and ask
I was
her.
just about to ask that, if you could just share it with me and I will get it out to the commissioners. Thank you, Commissioner
Sure.
Kai.
Okay. So just for clarity, please don't get the welcoming city ordinance confused with welcoming America. If you're looking around at things that happen within Bloomington, right? The welcoming America, what I did find interesting was that it was brought up before the council in one meeting, and shortly afterwards in another meeting, it was approved, whereby the welcoming city ordinance was discussed months ago and has yet to receive approval. So just things to keep in mind. And as the discussion was, that there's similarity between the two. And that's why there was support for Welcoming America, where obviously there's something different because the Welcoming City wasn't approved. So be sure to read the information that's sent forth. Okay, any other thoughts, questions, and suggestions on that? And whether, so I will allow you to read the information, and Ms. Richards, if we could put this back on the agenda for next month.
Will do.
After everyone is well informed of it. Thank you. We will move on to 6B, discuss the potential efforts to enhance awareness of the HRC resources such as the procedure and form to submit an ordinance concern, complaint, minority business directory.
So before the commissioners actually chime in here, I was wondering if we could also place this item on next month's agenda, because I think it coincides with the plan that I wanted to provide, or just the suggestions that I wanted to provide to the HRC. And I don't believe that members of the commission have had a chance to review my suggestions for like branding or expanding and kind of rolling out the HRC to the community. So that would just be my suggestion. We could certainly have a discussion tonight, Chair Smith, but I just wanted to let you know that the commission has not been provided with my suggestions for properly branding and rolling out the HRC.
Okay. Commissioners, what's your appetite for pausing the discussion on agenda 6B until next month so that we have appropriate time to read, review, branding, the plan that Ms. Richards has put together to roll out the HRC to the community?
This
I'm
is
all in favor of moving it to the next meeting so
Yeah,
that
and
we'll have additional information to
Yeah.
better aid the discussion.
And I had an additional question, for Ms. Richards. Would you have any homework assignments for us as we prepare? Okay, like you're already ready.
Yes. Yes, in which I don't think it's fair to have this discussion without having more input from the commission as we put this plan together. So I just think to give it due diligence, if both Chair Smith and the commissioners wouldn't mind, if we would to put this on February's agenda.
Okay. Any other commissioners' thoughts on this?
I'm going to second Commissioner Konam's motion that we postpone item 6B until February.
6B, okay. It has been properly motioned and second to pause the discussion on this item and place it on our February agenda. Any additional discussion? If not, I'm going to call for the vote. Commissioner McGinnis,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Kenny-Carr,
Aye.
Commissioner Ajayi,
Aye.
Commissioner Konam,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith, aye. Commissioner Carey. Okay, the motion passes, Ms. Richards. Our next scheduled meeting date is February 11th, 2021. I will go around virtually, see if there's anything to be shared for the good of the commission. Let's start with Commissioner Konam.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know if you said yep or wep.
Oh,
Okay.
I said nope.
Okay,
Sorry.
Commissioner McGinnis,
No.
thank you. Commissioner Jones,
Yeah, the only statement that I have here is I just want to remind everyone that this coming Saturday, we have our virtual MLK celebration. So if you don't have the link, ask Ms. Richards.
has the link been sent out once already, Ms. Richards?
I believe so. We sent it out to several places. I can't even keep up with how many times we've sent it out, but I will get that to the HRC this evening just to make sure. And I just want to say thank you so very much to all of you for the input that you have given, but but mostly, gosh, Commissioner Jones, you have been, again, just a pleasure to work with this project. And I hope that you all are proud after you see the event, and that we all can celebrate together this Saturday at 1 p.m. on the City of Bloomington's YouTube page.
Thank you for all that you stepped in to help take us across the finish line, Ms. Richards. And thank you, Commissioner Jones, for your partnership with Ms. Richards to bring this all together. Commissioner Kanikar?
Yes.
Did you have anything to share for the good of commission before we close out?
Right now, I don't have anything to share, but I'm
Okay.
participating. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ajayi?
I just wish everybody a happy new year and looking forward to a great 2021.
Thank you. Commissioner Carey? Okay. Commissioner Kinikar, if you have not read the HRC, the ordinance, I would strongly encourage you to do so. You can find it out on the city's website.
Yeah, sure. I read it, but not very carefully, just gone through. So I think I have to read it carefully once again. So I'll
Okay.
get back to it. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Happy New Year to all of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Thanks.
thank you to everyone, to all the commissioners for being present for our first meeting of the new year. Wishing you all the best for 2021 and very much looking forward to working with each of you. Let's go forward and do so much more than we did in 2020. Thank you, Ms. Richards, for being available to help us carry out the meeting tonight. With that, I will look to a commissioner to provide a motion for adjournment of this meeting.
I move that
move
we
that-
adjourn.
Okay. I second it.
Thank you for the motion to adjourn this meeting. Commissioner Jones and Commissioner Konam. Is there any discussion? I would think not, but is there any discussion? If not, I'm going to call for the vote. Commissioner Kinikar.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones
Aye.
and Commissioner McGinnis.
Aye.
Commissioner Jai.
Aye.
Commissioner Konam.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith. Aye. Commissioner Carey. Okay, there's a consensus. Motion passes. We are done. Calling it a wrap. Again, thanks everyone. Enjoy the remainder or balance of your evening.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Right.